Now, Sports Talk with Broads. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Obviously, the Philadelphia Eagles had a hectic week. Eagles fans as well. A lot of mixed emotions. Pissed, rage, happy, excited. In the beginning of the week, I was truly disgusted. I did not see their vision. I still don't see their vision. I didn't comprehend why they would draft Jalen Hurts in the second round when they just signed Carson Wentz to the big deal. But now the conversation has shifted for me because it's reality. No matter if I like it or not, this is the scenario. I can't control it. Jalen Hurts is on the Eagles, and they are going to utilize him with Carson Wentz, or at least that is what we are told. Everything that Howie Roseman and Doug Pederson is saying, I don't believe them. I don't trust them. Now, let's be clear. That doesn't mean I don't believe in Doug Pederson as a head coach. That doesn't mean I don't believe in Howie Roseman in making certain decisions and doing what he's able to do best. I still believe that he is great in certain areas. With this specific move and the way that they are speaking, I can't comprehend a word they are saying. They are talking out of both sides of their mouths. They're backtracking. They're contradicting themselves. It is ridiculous, and quite frankly, it's embarrassing. It really is. I can't believe that these are professionals who are supposed to be prepared for this, and they're clueless. Howie Roseman said he was shocked by the reaction of Eagles fans. What? How long have you worked here? You are shocked that Eagles fans are shocked that you drafted a quarterback in the second round. Please describe for me how that is possible. He doesn't want this to be called a retool. I'm sorry, what, Howie? You just called it a retooling yourself just a month or two ago, and now you don't want it to be called a retooling? Here's what really concerns me a bit. This is Doug Pederson speaking back in Carson Wentz's rookie year. I've actually talked to Sam, and since he has been back, my feelings haven't changed. Sam Bradford, that is. He's my guy. He's the number one guy. I expect Sam not to look over his shoulder. I expect Sam to look forward and get himself ready for the season. That's interesting. Because everything I'm hearing from these two is Carson Wentz is still our guy. He's the franchise quarterback. And we know what happened with Sam Bradford, shipped out of town. Now, if that's their decision, if they believe that Carson Wentz is not the guy, he can't stay healthy, he has the skill, but he can't stay healthy, so we're going to go in a different direction, then do that. But this mixed messaging crap, that's what I'm not here for. So hearing them be all giddy about Carson Wentz and, he's still it, I promise. Why would I believe you? I just gave you a scenario where they were saying the same exact thing, and before you knew it, bye-bye Sam Bradford, hello Carson Wentz. It could be the same scenario here. And once again, I am fine if they go in that direction. I will disagree with it, but I am fine if they go in that direction if they at least present it the right way. This is trash. It really is, and it's not right to Carson Wentz. And I don't like the conversation that, why does it have to be fair? Why does it have to be fair? Why do you have to treat this guy like he deserves the world? He should go out there and compete and make it happen. Let's factor in that we are human beings. Let's factor in that the nature of the quarterback position is not the same as wide receiver, lineman, safety, cornerback. When you have your guy that you believe in, that franchise guy, what you do from there is build a team around him. Don't try and sell me the gadget stuff. Look at what the Saints do. All that. Do not even try. I'm not buying it. They did not pick him to just be a little gadget guy. They drafted him because they don't believe in Carson Wentz. Whether it's health, whether it's skill, whether it's leadership, there is something that is making the front office question Carson Wentz. Well, then we can have the debate on why did they pay him early. Early they went out and paid Carson Wentz. Now, why would they do that? It was before the concussion injury. Is that why? Well, let's be real about this. The concussion is probably the farthest injury that would make you question if he's injury prone or not, because we saw it all happen. He got rocked from behind by a dirty hit, and then he was knocked out with a concussion. That would happen to everybody. So that's like the farthest injury on the table when it comes to being injury prone or not. So that shouldn't be the difference in not believing in him or not. I opened up the phone lines, by the way. We will get to some phone calls. But also, let's hear a word from a couple of my sponsors. This episode of Sports Talk with Broads is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. They set the standard for clean energy. Whether you are looking to add solar to your home or company, Orbit Energy and Power works directly with you to ensure you are getting the best deal. Their team has over 20 plus years of experience and also worked on Lincoln Financial Field. That is not all. Orbit can also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. Visit them online at orbitenergy.us or give them a call at 800-836-3987. Also, do not forget about Ravens Brew Coffee. You know me. I am addicted to coffee. I'll drink 3,000 cups a day. I drank 6 this morning, to be honest with you. And I've tried so many different companies. This is the best ever. They are so unique. They have so many different blends depending on what time of the day it is, depending on how much caffeine is involved. You have to check it out. The link is in the description. Ravens Brew Coffee. You will not regret it. I want to jump back into the part where I said that we are human beings. There are a lot of people that just assume, listen, these are athletes. Go out there and play, and Carson, go prove them wrong. If you are a true competitor, just go prove them wrong and say screw you. While that sounds great from the outside, it's very similar to the why doesn't Brett Brown just sit Ben Simmons? Just sit Ben Simmons. It's easy. Well, that's easy to say from the outside. Let's tie this into normal human reactions. Let's take away professional athletes. We all go through stuff. Everyone has that one or two things that really bother them, that put them down. That's called human nature, right? We all have it. Now, what if I was to tell you, think about you right now and your personal thing that gets you upset. I'm going to tell you, stop complaining about it. Stop bitching about it. Who cares? Get over it. Just go out there and live your life every day and stop worrying about it. Stop thinking about it. It doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way. You will always think about it. It will always eat at you, and it will always bother you. This is a scenario. Now, once again, it's pro sports. It is a little different. It's not exactly that scenario, but it is very similar. Whether you think it's easy to just switch that off, that they drafted a second-round pick that's a quarterback, that there's a guy who's coming in here to replace me, whether you think that you can just turn that off because you are a competitor, it doesn't work that way. There's probably 1% of people who can turn that switch. And if you're going to wait to find that person in the 1%, God bless you, we will be waiting forever. Tom Brady had Jimmy Garoppolo behind him. What happened there? Didn't last very long. I wonder why. Aaron Rodgers isn't thrilled about what the Packers did. I wonder why. It's simple. The front office and their message, it's crazy. How about this one? Howie Roseman talking about him having a talk with Carson Wentz. Oh, you had a talk with Carson? That's awesome. A couple days later, yeah, it wasn't comfortable. Oh, well, the way you sold it originally, you had the talk. He was fine with it. He agreed. It's okay. And then a couple days later, we hear it's not comfortable. It's crazy. How about the 3 questions that Howie Roseman was looking for during the draft? Do they love football? Can they run? Can they stay healthy? Oh, can they stay healthy? So let's bring back Corey Clement. Let's bring back possibly Jason Peters. And if he does come back, Derek Gunn is reporting he doubts he's going to be a backup. So now he's going to be a starter. And if he's brought back to be a backup and be a swing guy, we're talking about a 38-year-old who can't stay healthy to begin with. So now our backup player that we're going to have to put all of our stock in if something goes wrong with the starters. Oh, yeah, okay, let's count on a player who gets healthy or who gets injured all the time and isn't healthy. Makes a ton of sense. And let's be clear, I don't think he's coming back to be a swing tackle or a backup player like Vitae was. If he's being brought back, then he's going to be the starter. And then what happens with Andre Dillard? So can they stay healthy? That was one major question. Seems like they're going a little bit backwards with that. Corey Clement couldn't stay healthy. Couldn't stay healthy at all. Jason Peters is going to be 38? 38 years old? Can he stay healthy? Unbelievable. Perfect time here to take some phone calls. I opened up the phone lines, 856-442-9805. And once again, the 24/7 Anytime Hotline is sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. They set the standard for clean energy. Whether you are looking to add solar to your home or company, Orbit Energy and Power works directly with you to ensure you are getting the best deal. All right, so the question I asked everyone, it was simple. Do you believe what Howie Roseman and what Doug Pederson say? Do you believe in what they say? Because I don't. I don't.
Hey, bros, it's Owen. I'm a big fan of your show, and I agree with you for being angry about the Jalen Hurts pick. It's not great, but I think eventually what it'll end up being is kind of just a waste of a second-rounder and not much more. I think they did clearly show that they wanted to get Carson Wentz help in the later rounds. And, of course, some of those picks are going to be hit or miss. They're not all going to be super, super great, but there clearly was an effort to get Carson more receivers. So I feel a little bit better about their confidence in him because they want to get him some more weapons, which I appreciate. So, yeah, I don't know. It's still an odd pick to me, but I think down the road it'll end up being just a waste of a second-rounder.
Here's what I'll say. Do not fall into the Howie Roseman trick. He tries to mind play you. He drafted all those players in the rounds where you just take a ton of shots and chances. Now, once again, do I disagree with the philosophy in that round? No. But if you can get a guy in the second round who can run and he can play wide receiver, you don't got to take chances and flyers on players. He is playing that mind game with the media. Look, I went out and I got Carson Wentz a ton of help. Really? Really? By drafting his replacement? Laughable to me. Laughable.
First off, do I believe anything Howie Roseman or Doug Pederson say? Well, I don't really look at what they say. I look at what they do, and what they did was draft a quarterback in the second round whenever you just paid your 27-year-old quarterback over $100 million. So, yeah, second off, they can say all this crap about him being a gadget guy, but you don't get a gadget guy whenever you can get Denzel Mims in the second round. Also, just for the record, Taysom Hill was undrafted.
I don't think I could say it any better than that. That is perfect execution of a call, in my opinion. I couldn't agree any more. And it is, to be fair, it is not okay to absolutely ridicule them to an insane level. Because once again, while I disagree with this philosophy and with some of the things they did, that doesn't mean I don't believe in anything Howie Roseman does, or doesn't mean I don't believe in anything that Doug Pederson does. I'm starting to lose faith in them more and more as the days go by, but that doesn't mean everything they do is just awful. And once again, Jalen Hurts in this pick, I'm not claiming that there won't be plays that work. There will be plays that work. We've seen 2 quarterback looks on the football field in the NFL and it be effective. There are plays that will work. It's not as if they draft him and 0 plays, 0 will be executed. It's the trade-off, though. Okay, so a play works here. Compare that to what you would have gotten out of a player who plays a significantly more percentage of the time.
Hey, bro, this is going on. Big fan of the show. Hope you have a good day. It's not that I don't necessarily believe in what Howie Roseman says. I just don't agree with the philosophy at all. It just doesn't make any sense, especially when you got, backup quarterbacks, still looking to sign. Jameis Winston was still available. Cam Newton was still available. Cam Newton has even proven himself to be worthy of carrying a team and making the Super Bowl. I just don't do it. It just doesn't make any sense, and I just feel so bad for Carson. He is always put in these bad situations, and it's just so different when you play in a city like Philadelphia. You know, like this is Carson's team, and he just probably feels like this isn't the organization doesn't believe him anymore, and it just I'm hurting for him. I really am. Honestly, thank God that he just had his wife just had a baby a couple of days ago, and that's just great because he really needs this. You know, he really needs like something to give him like happiness and a distraction.
Listen, yes, absolutely. He does need something, and congratulations to him and his wife and gorgeous baby, no doubt about it. You mentioned Cam Newton, and if I'm going to bitch and complain about a backup quarterback coming in, making some noise, being too much, and having that controversy speak up, Cam Newton might not be the answer either, because once Carson Wentz has a bad series or one bad throw in maybe week 1 of the season, there would be an outrage to start bringing in Cam Newton. I don't know if that would be something I'd be interested in. Jameis Winston, though, he's a player you can rely on in one football game if need be because he has experience. I get it. He's not great. He's not a franchise quarterback. He's not a player who you will rely on to bring you to the Super Bowl and all this. He's an experienced player, and he's someone that if you need to in a game or 2 games in the NFL in a regular season, he can win you a football game. He can manage a game enough to win you a football game, more so than Jalen Hurts can as a rookie, more so than Jalen Hurts can as a 2-3 play gadget player. And look at that contract. Now, I'm shocked that he went for that much money. It seemed like he wants to be in a spot where he can learn the game. You get a player who's better than Jalen Hurts and cheaper than Jalen Hurts. Jameis Winston would have been more of a reasonable spot. Does he have a better chance down the road to maybe work out in New Orleans than, say, in Philadelphia with Carson Wentz? You would originally think yes. But how the front office is talking about this, well, pretending to talk about this, it makes you lean more towards, well, you never know. What if he played great? What if he played great? They already don't believe in Carson Wentz. At least that's what they're showing me.
Hey, bros. It's Levi. Speaking of Howie Roseman, I do believe Howie Roseman and Doug Pederson in the front office, just based off their track record in the past. They've done a lot of really good for this organization. Let's not forget 2017, the offseason Howie Roseman had that brought us our Super Bowl. Now, Jalen Hurts is a very controversial pick. I agree with you 100% of everything you've said about the pick of Jalen Hurts. It's disgusting, and I still can't figure out why we did it. But I also think that Howie and Doug do have a plan, and I don't know that the plan will work, and Doug just needs to keep it simple. We've got a lot of speed now, and you're right, he works better simple. But I still trust him. I still believe that they've got the Eagles' best interest at heart, and maybe this is just an insurance policy gadget guy, and we could have gotten that in a veteran quarterback. But at the end of the day, I trust Howie.
Wow, you trust Howie. You're allowed to trust Howie. And you mentioned them having a plan. I think they do have a plan. Their plan, though, is to move on from Carson Wentz. And once again, if that's what they are committed to as a front office, then okay, they are committed to that as a front office. And that's something that they believe is the best move for this organization. Okay, don't sell me crap. And that's what they're doing, and that's where my issue lies. Once again, I don't agree with them. If they did think, let's move on from Carson Wentz because he can't stay healthy enough, shame on them. I think that there's a problem right now with him being injured, but I can use Drew Brees as an example. He would get injured early in his career, and then there was a significant amount of time where the dude just played, and he played games. And same with a lot of other players. Just because there's a handful of seasons in the beginning, that doesn't mean that's how it's going to be for the rest of his career. Their plan, at least how I see it, they're ready to move on. This is Carson's last chance, even with that contract. The contract they can get out of at 2022. So would they be sitting on the bench if that has to happen? Possibly. I know Sal Pal is reporting that he believes Doug Pederson was very involved with this pick. The only reason why I don't believe Sal Pal, and he's a very respected guy, and I do trust a lot of what he says, is because of this. Doug Pederson will never throw a guy under the table. He will never say it was somebody else's fault. He will never talk about anybody else. He will accept everything. We saw it with Mike Groh and the firing of Mike Groh. We've seen it all the time. When players make a mistake, it's his fault. Bad play call. So if he believed in this or he didn't believe in this, he will openly say to the public, to Sao Paulo, to reporters, to media, to fans, that it was his decision. So if anything goes wrong, it falls on Doug Pederson. That's the type of guy he is. So with all due respect to Sao Paulo, who I do respect and who I do enjoy reading and seeing his work, I'm not buying it.
Hey, bro, it's Dustin Habecker calling in. I love your show. I listen to it a lot. I just had a quick take on the Jalen Hurts pick from the draft. Many scouts view Kevon Wallace as a second or third round pick. I've read that on the internet, multiple places. Would you be as upset with the Hurts pick if he was taken in the fourth round and Kevon Wallace was taken in the second? I think that's a fascinating way to look at it. I would love to know your thoughts.
I wouldn't accept it. And here's why. You could have had Wallace in the fourth and then another impact player in the second. And we don't know what Wallace is going to be. He's intriguing, good value, but that doesn't ultimately mean the dude is going to be a straight-up stud. While I say that, should be fun, should be a good watch. Maybe he can start out as a role player and then work his way up into something, although you have Jalen Mills, Rodney McLeod, Will Parks back there. So who knows? If maybe corners get hurt, Jalen Mills slides to be a cornerback. That opens up a spot. We have no clue how it will play out. You could have had two players then, though. Two players. And they need that. They have holes on this roster. So I still would have had a problem with it. Not as much of a problem, probably. I think that's fair to say, even though it is a unique way of looking at it. But it's still a problem to me because they need to fill holes. 1-year deals. Jalen Mills, Will Parks. What is Sidney Jones' future? Come on now. No, I wouldn't be satisfied with it because you could have had two at that point. Two.
Yo, what's up, Rhodes? So if you want my personal opinion on everything with, the Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts situation, I do think that, right now the front office does believe that Carson Wentz can lead a team, but for some reason Howie Roseman just wants to prioritize like a second quarterback, like in a second QB offense right now. Like, you see them invest in the backup quarterback position, and he was saying that, like, in the 2012 draft, like missing out on Russell Wilson is what really caused him to make this pick. But that's what I'm kind of scared off because, like, worst case scenario is they don't believe in Carson and they really think that Hurts is the guy, or they do believe in Carson but they want to, a new way to open up the offense. Because last year with the offense there was hardly any creativity and all the injuries really didn't help. But I don't know what else Carson Wentz could have done to prove that he can lead a team last year because of all the injuries and everything. Like, he proved that he's the franchise quarterback of the Eagles, but I guess we'll have to see what happens.
We will have to wait and see. I don't think Howie Roseman knows what he just did. I think he's clueless. He was shocked by the reaction. That tells me everything I need to know. He didn't assume that people would be shocked about this. How in the world? Just wait. Just wait. Week 1, week 2, whenever that actually happens, whether they push the season back or not. Outrage. Outrage. And this city, this fan base, they fall in love with the backup quarterback. It's been that way for years. They fall in love with it. It's wild to me. It really is. Because of the Super Bowl miracle run. If you go back in history and look at the backup quarterbacks that win playoff games, it is so tiny to the point where you shouldn't invest that much into them. In terms of draft picks, comparing it to draft picks. Veteran quarterbacks, sure. Why not? Sure. Veteran backup quarterbacks, they give you the better chance than, say, a Jalen Hurts does. And then, that's where you tie this all together. That means he isn't looked at as a backup quarterback. He's looked at as the possible replacement as the starting quarterback. And that is where I can't wrap my head around this. I can't wrap my head around it. It's going to be a long off season, a long summer. And then, you know what? It's even going to be a long season. I couldn't handle myself during this weekend and this past week. It was crazy. It was so hectic. I forgot how brutal Eagles Twitter can be. I forgot how brutal Eagles fans can be. And I started experiencing it again. I'm thinking, oh, maybe I don't miss this. Because it was a disturbing, week? Has it been a full week yet? I'm losing track of days. I don't even know what's going on anymore. All I know is, poor Carson Wentz. I'm not babying him. I'm basing this off of how franchises with franchise quarterbacks treat their player. The Eagles are going in a totally different route. They're using a bunch of analytics. Analytics this, analytics that. I'm not an old school guy, all right? I know a lot of old school baseball fans don't like analytics because they're basing numbers and basing decisions off numbers. Analytics are great. More information is great. I'm a fan of analytics. But the analytics cannot be the Bible. You can't make every single little decision off analytics. There are flawed stats. Plenty of them. Look at the numbers now in passing yards compared to yards back in the day. People throw for 4,000 with their eyes closed in today's game. But if you just saw numbers and you just saw stats, you would say that more than half of the quarterbacks now are way better than all the greats back in the day. But that's not necessarily the point. Context matters. Stats can't always put context into the equations. And that's where stats can be flawed. And then if you're making decisions based off of every single stat, you will find flaws. And this is one of them, in my opinion. But once again, if they're replacing Carson, who knows? I'm losing my mind. So anyway, thank you so much for watching Sports Talk with Broach. Thank you so much. Hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and I will see you next time.